So I think we could get started. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome our parents from the class of 2023 to our annual parent counselor meet and greet. Normally this is a breakfast and we get to hold it in the high school and we can chat over coffee and some great breakfast foods, but unfortunately, things are just different this school year. We've started off on a different foot and we've adapted and we've made everything work. So we still wanted to hold our annual breakfast so parents could get to see all of our guidance staff. So just a quick introduction. I am Lauren Karuba. I am the Director of School Counseling Services for the school district. We have Miss Lawler here. Miss Lawler, if you want to just give a wave. And your 10th grade counseling caseload, what's your alphabet?
I believe it's R-O to Z.
Okay. We have Miss Acosta. Miss Acosta, if you want to give a wave. And what is your alphabet?
G through all the Lees.
Okay. Miss Cadell.
Morning.
And your alphabet?
A through E, the beginning of the alphabet.
Okay. And then we have Miss Alvarez, and Miss Alvarez is with us until the end of November. She is filling in for Miss Gabby Brown as her maternity leave, but she is here and with us and doing a great job. And your alphabet?
L-E-V to R-I.
Perfect, perfect. So at this time, we are going to get started with our presentation. Please do not worry about having to take copious notes or write everything down. This entire presentation is going to be shared with everyone. It's going to be emailed out and posted to the website. Also, at the end, you're going to see that on the bottom of your Zoom screen, there is an option to raise your hand. So any questions that you have, at the end, we'll do a Q&A session and you can ask anything that you want. Our presentation this year is just going to be a kind of a short intro on what colleges look for in a student. We know that, college application is 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, 3 years away, but it'll be here before you know it. And it's great for us to give parents an idea of what their child is going to need to do when they apply to college, what the college is going to look like. So you can start to groom their resume and groom who they are as a student prior to that. We don't want a parent to say right before senior year starts and right before they're applying to college, well, I didn't know that they were supposed to be involved in things, or I didn't know that all 4 years of their college, of their transcript was going to be sent to a college. I thought maybe just junior year, because everyone says that's the most important year. So we just want to give everyone a background of what it is that the colleges are going to look for. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Nope, this is not what I want. I don't know why it's not coming up. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Does everyone see that okay? Yeah? All right. So we did our welcome. Here is everyone's contact information in case you need to contact your child's guidance counselor at any time. Emails, phone calls, whatever works for you works for us. And again, we put also the breakdown of the alphabet here in red, just in case you weren't sure who your new counselor is. All of our 9th graders, when they enter Fort Lee High School, are assigned to Miss Sue Roll Green. But once they get to 10th grade, we do split it up amongst the 4 counselors that I just introduced to you. And those 4 counselors are going to be the counselors that are with you from with you throughout the rest of high school, grades 10, 11, and 12. Here is just a quick snippet of what exactly it is that the colleges are going to look for when your kids apply in senior year. It's going to be grades, GPA, test scores, which means standardized test scores, whether or not your children decide to take the SAT or the ACT, community service, involvement, regardless of that, if that means your involvement is what you're doing in school or out of school, letters of recommendation, and essay. Oh, you know what? I see that Ms. Glynn just hopped on. So hold on 1 second. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and let her give everyone a quick hello. while she's here. You know, we start school on Monday, so I'm sure that she is very busy and has a lot to do, but we'll give her a moment.
I just wanted to say hello. I apologize for my lateness. I had to find a different computer. Mine was needing to get a restart right now. So I would just welcome you all. I'm very excited that we're starting on Monday. We have a lot of plans in place. We really feel that the safety and security of the building is ready to roll. We're excited about the hybrid groups. We think we have good numbers coming in. We think it's going to be a good year under the circumstances. I think the best way to think is to think positive. I think the kids are going to be excited to be back in the building. And for those of parents and kids that chose to stay home virtually, it seems that that has been working very well as also. So I think that that's going to be fine. We got to roll with the punches. It's 2020, and I think that it's going to be a good year. I have a really good feeling about it. So I'm available at any time for anyone that has questions. Just shoot me an email. If there's any concerns, you know I'm here. And we'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Glenn. Okay. So back to sharing my screen. And at the end of this presentation, parents too, I'm going to kind of go over exactly what the hybrid schedule is going to look like. So even if your child is virtual or they're coming back hybrid, there is a little bit of a change to the schedule for Monday. So we'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Cadell, and Ms. Cadell will be talking to you guys about grades and GPA.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see everybody virtually. I want to talk a little bit about this morning grades and GPA. So these times are very uncertain as far as, you know, SAT planning and any type of clubs or activities, sports. So things are really, you know, it's hard to say what's going to happen this year. But one thing is for sure that grades and GPA are one of the main factors that colleges look at. So that's why we like to start this now, have the kids start thinking about it, planning from freshman year all the way to senior year. Their courses, we want them to be specific in the courses that they choose. And we just want to make sure that they have a nice transcript. So when they enter college and begin college, they're prepared. So like I said, grades and GPA are very important. Colleges will look at all 4 years. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, some students will think that freshman year doesn't really count or sophomore year and only junior year is important, but I'm here to tell you that all 4 years are very, very important. Another thing to keep in mind is that your child's GPA is cumulative, meaning that everything that your child receives from freshman year on counts. So the next slide, I will go over a transcript with you and we'll kind of look at that together so I can show you what I mean by that. Colleges like to see a rigorous course load, meaning you know, your child should challenge themselves, maybe some honors courses, AP courses, but make sure, you know, they're thinking that, you know, for college purposes, they want to take courses that challenge themselves, but also are within their ability. So your student will meet with their guidance counselor specifically in January, between January and March when they go over their schedule for next year. And at that point, they will have one-on-one meetings where they will talk to their guidance counselor and kind of set the courses up that are best for them. So in this next slide, it says this is an actual sample transcript. So the transcript, if you could see, has all 4 years. This is a senior transcript. It has all 4 years indicated. And at the end of each year, you will see highlighted in yellow the GPA for that particular year. So for example, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and then if you go all the way to the bottom, you will see the overall GPA for those 3 years. So keep in mind, once again, if I can't preface anything, each year counts. Also keep in mind that marking periods are not reflected on the transcript. So it's basically just the final grades for that particular year. Again, your students should challenge themselves as much as possible, but take courses within their ability. In other words, you know, if they're in a regular course, maybe they want to strive for an honors. If they're in an honors course, maybe they want to strive for an AP course. The other thing I want to mention is that courses are weighted a little differently. So if your child is taking an honors course, that's weighted a little bit different numerically than an AP course. And all that means is basically when the GPA is finalized, the GPA could be higher than somebody else's because those courses are weighted more. So they're basically weighted more than a regular course. At this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Acosta to go over the SAT versus ACT testing plan.
Good morning, I'm Mrs. Acosta. So we want to talk a little bit today about the SAT and the ACT. These are the two major standardized tests that we have. The SAT, we want to look at the differences between them. So the SAT has two sections, the math and the critical reading. The highest score that you can get on either of those is 800 for a total of 1600. The essay is optional. But we always recommend that they take the essay at least once because colleges do use that in order to determine what course the students are going to have as freshmen. So the essay is optional, and the highest score you can get on the essay is a 24. The ACT is a bit different. It has 4 sections. It has an English, a math, a reading, and a science. It also has an optional writing section, and again, we would encourage you or your child to take it at least once. The ACT writing is scored out of a 36. Okay, the differences, the SAT versus the ACT. So if you take a look at the top, the SAT has fewer geometry questions. It has more time per question. But it does have one section, one math section, in which they don't allow the students to use the calculator. So it's a 3-hour exam. The reading exam takes 65 minutes. The writing exams take 35 minutes. The lowest score you can get on this is a 200. The highest is 800. The math is divided into 2 portions. The one part is the no calculator part, and that's 25 minutes. And then there is a math section in which you are allowed to use the calculator, which is 55 minutes. Again, the lowest score you can get there is 200, and the highest is 800. Looking at the ACT, let me keep going down on the SAT. The total number of points would be 400 to 1600. The total time, so in reading, the total time would be 75 seconds per question. In the writing, it's 48 seconds per section, and the math would be 83 seconds per section. And we're going to shift over to the ACT. So the ACT, again, looking on top, has lots of geometry. It's a little bit faster paced. It does have a tough science section. So before you take an ACT, I would recommend you take a practice test to see how you feel about that science section. So the science section, the lowest grade you can get is a 1, the highest is a 36. The reading section takes 35 minutes. The English portion, the lowest grade you can get is a 1, the highest is a 36, and the English takes 45 minutes. The math section, the lowest score you can get is a 1 and the highest is a 36, and the math takes 60 minutes. And the science section, the lowest score you can get is a 1, the highest is a 36, and the science takes 35 minutes. Going down, the time per question for the reading is about 53 seconds per question. For the English is 36 seconds per question. And for the math, it's 60 seconds per question. Before taking either test, I really, really would recommend a practice test and preparation. Okay, going on to our next slide. So here we have the SAT is on collegeboard.com. The ACT is act.org. There are fee waivers available for students who receive free and reduced lunch. Kaplan provides a 13-question survey on preparing the students to decide whether they want to take the ACT or the SAT. That website is listed there. There's also a free SAT practice website that we list. We also list a free ACT practice website. College Board SAT practice is there, and the ACT prep through the ACT.org. We also have that listed there. Now, on an ordinary year, some colleges don't require standardized test scores, and you can find out which colleges don't require it at fairtest.org, and we listed that site there as well. I would like to introduce Ms. Lawler, who is going to take us through becoming involved.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm here to tell you, as important as all of those previous slides were about our GPA and our test scores, what's also super important is to remember that we're more than those numbers, right? Sometimes what makes the difference between two applicants that might have the same GPA and the same test score is what that student does outside of the classroom. So it's very important that students get involved. They start to get involved from 9th and 10th grade, and they carry through on their commitments through senior year. Right? Colleges do like to see a well-rounded student because they make the assumption that that student is going to continue to do the same on the college campus. Okay, so if they're a leader amongst their peers here at Fort Lee High School, you know, the colleges are going to look at that and say, oh, maybe this student is also going to be a leader on our campus. Okay, so it's important to remember when we say get involved that you want to choose quality over quantity. On your resume, if you're listing 25 clubs that maybe meet once a month or every other month, that is not as beneficial as maybe picking one or two things that you are super passionate about or that your child's super passionate about that they can make a difference in and potentially earn leadership roles in. Okay, so it's definitely important to pick those one or two things and then remember that everything counts. Okay, if you're not interested in anything that's offered through Fort Lee High School, maybe you're not into any of the athletics that we offer, you don't want to play varsity sports, we do have athletes on the outside. Maybe they participate in karate or taekwondo or swimming or something that we don't offer. That definitely counts. It doesn't have to be a Fort Lee High School sponsored club or activity. Something else on the outside that I think really helps a child's resume is a part-time job. Some of our kids work part-time, you know, 4 to 5, even, you know, 6 days a week, whether that's for their own pocket money or to help out with the family to pay bills. That looks fantastic on a resume. That shows that the student can balance both work and school, and that is definitely something that the colleges want to see. Okay, it also lets them know how you spent your time outside of the classroom. Art, music, anything that you do on the outside should also be included in that resume. Okay, so it's definitely important to get started, but please, please do something, you know, because come senior year, if there's nothing else for the student to kind of talk about on their application, they will get overlooked for that student if they're matching with the GPA and the test scores. Next, we have community service. So community service is an important part of graduation. It is a graduation requirement. We require all students at Fort Lee High School to earn a minimum of 50 hours. That 50 hours is going to equate to 2.5 credits on their transcript. But we do like to see the students go above and beyond the requirement. And many colleges like to see that the students go above that requirement as well. Okay, so my suggestion to all my students is to try and pick a community service that kind of relates to what you potentially might want to study in college. So for example, students that are interested in the healthcare industry, maybe want to become a nurse or a doctor, it's nice to do your volunteer hours at a hospital. Or if you're even more ambitious, you know, you can try and join the Fort Lee Ambulance Corps and become an EMT in high school as a junior or a senior. All of those are great service requirements, but it's also a nice internship when you think about it. You know, you're getting your feet wet already, and you get to see what you like and what you don't like about that industry. Students that want to work with animals, maybe they want to be a veterinarian, you can work at an animal shelter and help with the adoptions. So anytime that the service can also serve as an internship, I think that's helpful for our students as well. Another thing to consider with service is that merit-based scholarship money is available to students at colleges. So every college kind of has their own threshold or criteria as to what they award merit-based scholarships for. Normally it's something like, you know, their GPA and test scores, but other schools really do want to see service. If that happens to be very important on their campus, okay? So they want students that are going to add again to their culture and climate of their campus community. So a college that comes to mind for me is Duke. Duke really likes civic-minded students on their campus. So merit-based scholarships are awarded to those students that have a certain number of community service hours because they really want their students on their campus to continue to do so while they're with them. Right, and I think up next we have Ms. Alvarez, who's going to talk about letters of rec.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a nice day. So part of the college application process involves letters of recommendation from both the teachers and the counselor. So we really encourage your child to start planning on which teachers they want to ask to write their letters of recommendation. A lot of colleges like to see 2 letters from different content areas. So for example, one might be from an English teacher and the other one might be from a biology teacher, just so the college can have an idea of how the student performs in 2 different academic settings. Mrs. Lawler talked a little bit about the resume. So we highly encourage your child to update their resume periodically throughout their high school years. It's just really important that your child does this because if your child maybe did a volunteer experience or something one time their freshman year and they didn't write it on their resume, by the time they get to their senior year to fill out their applications, they might have forgotten that that event even happened. So it's just really important that we have your child update their resume a few times throughout each high school year. And the resume is also a great reference to give to the teacher writing the letter of recommendation. That way the teacher can provide a little bit more details of what the student is involved in outside of the classroom. If your child is an athlete, it might be a good idea to have one letter be from a teacher and maybe the other letter be from one of their coaches. That way, again, the colleges can see how the student performs both in the classroom and on the field or with whatever sport they're playing. The school counselor also writes a letter of recommendation for the student. The student does not have to worry about requesting the letter from the counselor. The counselor will automatically write a letter of recommendation for the student. One of the many things that we as the counselor use to write the letter of recommendation is the pre-college survey on Naviance. So your child will have the opportunity to fill that out, and it's just basically asking the student what they're involved in, asking the student to describe themselves. That way the counselor can really show the full picture, both academically, socially, and how the student is involved on that letter of recommendation. Another piece of the college application is the college essay. So the college essay allows students to present the opportunities to tell colleges about themselves. The Common Application is a universal college application that accepts over 900 colleges, and it allows students to pick from a list of several different topics for their college essay. As a sophomore, the student does not have to worry about starting the college essay right now. However, we just want to encourage you that there will be a time when your child will be writing the college essay, and we kind of just wanted to open that door to you. Some examples of the Common App college essay prompts include: some students have a background or story that is so central to their identity that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Another example of the Common Application prompt for the college essay is: recount an incident or time when you experienced failure. How did it affect you, and what lessons did you learn? Again, as a sophomore, we're not expecting your child to start writing their college essay for their college applications. However, we did just want to make you aware that this is a piece of the college application, and it is a really important piece because it allows the student to really express themselves, and something that might not show up on the transcript, the student can elaborate in their essay. And now I would like to reintroduce Mrs. Cadell, and she will be talking about ways to help reduce stress.
Thank you. So amidst, especially during these times, everything that was spoken about today is extremely important. Grades, resume, testing scores, everything, all of those things will make a nice application for your student, but most importantly, they have to find some ways to reduce their stress. So it's really important that your student takes care of their mental health, find something that they enjoy doing, find something that brings them some joy. It could be going out for a walk, just getting some sunlight, have a hobby aside from an internship or a job, have a fun hobby on the side, maybe drawing, reading, cooking, whatever it is that they like to do. Plenty of rest and sleep is also very important. And the link below is a family mindfulness schedule, which I think is a really nice tool. So when you have the opportunity to kind of look at that and open it up, it takes you through some mindfulness steps, which simply put is just being focused on the present moment. So kind of talk to your child about different ways that they can reduce their stress, while they're, of course, keeping up their studies and their academic rigor, because it is a huge part of how they're feeling, and especially during these times since things are so unsettled. The next slide talks about some seminars that we've put together also for parents. This is some really great information put out by Pure Edge. They will be hosting 2 interactive parent seminars to assist families dealing with stress and change. So if you see the links below, there are 2 links. You can access them through Zoom. The parent seminar, the first one, the date is there, it's 10/21, titled Self-Care and Understanding Stress. The description of that seminar is it's an interactive session. We'll explore the neuroscience of stress in people of all ages, its impact on the body, and how to develop resiliency through the practice of simple strategies. The next seminar will be on October 28th, and it's called Developing Relationships, Building Resilience, and the 6 Critical Healing Factors. So I think these are actually a great way for parents to kind of, hone in on what they're going through as well, because there's stress during these times for both the student and for the parents. So these are just another great resource for parents.
And just to add to that, this was all mailed out through School Messenger from me yesterday to all parents district-wide. We are also going to be placing it on the website. For some reason, if you didn't get the message, more importantly, if you did not get the message and you have not been getting emails through School Messenger from the high school, please contact your child's guidance counselor to let us know. We have to go through the School Messenger system. Maybe we have a wrong email for you or something. We want to make sure that you're getting all of our communications. Ms. Acosta?
Yes. So as Ms. Karuba mentioned before, Ms. Green had all of the 9th graders last year, and now they've been divided amongst us. So your students really don't know who we are. So we are having meet and greets so that we can get to know them and they can get to know us. So we would encourage you to tell your children, if we send an invitation for a meet and greet, please respond to the invitation so that we can meet with your student and they can know who we are, we can know who they are, and we can give them important information that they need to know. Then the second question, should I have a Naviance account by now? So I wanted to start that by explaining what Naviance is. Naviance is the platform that we use for applying to colleges. Ms. Green made sure that all of the 9th graders last year were on Naviance. There may have been a student who was absent the day she presented in the class, or there may be a new admit who is still not on Naviance. So we encourage you to have your student, your child, email us and let us know if they are not on Naviance so we can help them get on Naviance. It is really a good resource in terms of finding what you are interested in terms of a career, and finding also building a resume and many other factors. The last question, what should I do if I have more questions? So really have your student reach out to us, okay? Or if you have questions, you can email us. The students can email us. We will be responding to all emails. Hope to see your child soon in a meet and greet. And now this goes to Ms. Karuba.
Okay, so that is the conclusion of our, how to get you guys ready for what the college application will look like senior year. This way you're not surprised by anything that it encompasses. But now, being that school starts on Monday, I just want to kind of cover very briefly what the hybrid schedule is going to look like for students that are both staying home and students that are coming to school. So here is the schedule you're going to find. Our students are broken down into A, B, and C cohorts. Now, if you are in the A cohort, you're going to follow the schedule of A1 and A2. If you're in the B cohort, you're going to come to school on days B1 and B2. And on the C cohort, you're going to come to school on C1 and C2. On day 1, you're going to see that we have periods 1, 2, 3, and 9. Now, whether you're home or you're in school, this is going to be the period schedule that you follow. Your schedule that's listed in Genesis is not going to change. So whatever you have, period 1, 2, 3, and 9 are the classes that you are going to either A, log into because you're a virtual student, or B, you're going to physically go to that room if it's the day that you're assigned to be in school. Day 2, you're going to see that there's periods 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And those are the times. You're also going to notice that day 2 is going to end at 1:10 for students. And on day 1, it ends at 12:10. And then the built-in period 10 is for extra support for anyone that needs extra help, whether it be in person or with Google Hangouts or Zoom virtually for students.
Ms. Kruba, if I could interrupt just for 1 second on that.
Absolutely.
Period 10. The period 10 is also, it's a great period for us as counselors because the meet and greets, the invitations will probably go out during a period 10, so we don't have to pull a student from another class. It's also a period where we're currently meeting with our seniors and conducting any types of meetings that need to get done. If obviously that doesn't work for your child or for yourself, if it's a parent meeting, we can arrange it for another time. But that's a great period for us to have in there. And it's also a great period for the students to seek out help if they're struggling in a class from their teachers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lawler. So on the next slide, you're going to see a lot of words, a lot of writing, and a lot of boxes. But it is easy to follow once we kind of review it. So this is going to be the actual what week 1 and week 2 is going to look like, and it just continually repeats from week 1 to week 2. So here, Monday, cohort A, day 1, and it's very specific. Cohort A is in person, so you're going to go to all of these classes in person. If you are cohort B, C, or virtual, you're just going to do the exact same day, but from home. Tuesday is going to be cohort A, day 2. So if you're cohort A, you're in the building. Everyone else does that entire schedule from home. Wednesday looks a little different. Wednesday is all the classes meet virtually, and they're for much shorter periods of time. So you're going to get to see all the teachers periods 1 through 9 on a Wednesday. Thursday starts up cohort B again, and it's cohort B day 1. So if you are part of cohort B and you're coming to school, you'll do that in the building. Everyone else, cohort A, cohort C, and virtual students do that schedule from home. And then Friday again is cohort B day 2. Cohort B is in the building. All the other cohorts are home following the same schedule. Week 2 starts cohort C day 1. Cohort C is in the building. Everyone else from home, and so forth. Another thing that we keep getting questions about is everyone got the new schedule, whether you are a virtual cohort or you're coming into the building. And don't think just because you got the new schedule, that means that we think you're coming to school. No, we gave you that new schedule because regardless of if you're virtual or you're coming into the building, this schedule has changed slightly. There is no more break during the day. I think there was about an hour break for all students. That is now gone since we are starting on Monday. So that is just that is a change for everyone. So at this point, I am going to ask if anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand. We'll give you we're gonna train you into being a panelist, so you'll be able to see yourself on the screen here. You have the option of keeping your camera on or off, and then you can ask your question and the guidance counselors and I will answer them. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hands.
Mrs. Karuba, I think 2 questions were already asked in the Q&A.
Yes, I'm actually reading those now. So one of them is the transcript available on Genesis? So you're not going to see the same transcript the same way we see it, but you will be able to see a grade history. So it'll show you all the students' grades from grade 9 and then again at the end of grade 10. So you will be able to see grade history. There's another question. Will the same counselor be staying with the student through senior year, or will it be a different one each year? No, the counselor that you have in grade 10, you will now have for grades 10, 11, and 12. A question, what happens on week 3 for cohort A? It just starts again. So it goes week 1, week 2, then week 1, week 2 again. So on week 3, it'll start, that Monday will start cohort A, day 1 on Monday, and then on Tuesday, cohort B, day 2. Also posted on the website is going to be a physical calendar that reminds you what day it is. So you can look for that on the high school website. We have another question. I had my daughter doing hybrid, but changed the selection during this week. I made the change in Genesis. Do I need to do anything else? Yes, you do have to email an administrator in the building. If you're changing to hybrid, please you could even send me the email, the guidance counselor, anyone. My email is lcarruba, LCARRUBBA@flboe.com, and we can just make sure that that change has been made for you. What about GPA? Yes, the GPA is in Genesis as well.
And also, if you want a physical copy of the transcripts, your counselor can always send you one. It wouldn't be official coming from there, but if you just would like it for, you know, a scholarship or something that you're applying to, we can always get that to the student and family if you email us.
Do we have any other questions? I see someone had their hand raised, but now it is down. So maybe they asked their question on the chat. Oh, wait, we do have some more. In addition to listed prep testing, educationplanner.org is really good for preparing. Okay, we'll take a look at that. I've never heard of that website. So I will look at it, okay? When are the SATs usually taken? During junior year, in the fall, or the spring? Who wants to answer that? Ms. Lawler?
Sure. We usually encourage our juniors to test in the spring of their junior year. The content, as Ms. Acosta went over, is up to and including Algebra 2. So technically, some of our students might be done with Algebra 2 after, you know, depending on their level, freshman or sophomore year. So some of them do take it at the end of sophomore year. However, we do encourage to get that extra year of language acquisition and, you know, critical thinking under your belts in terms of the ELA. And that's why we do suggest to test in the spring of your junior year. It's okay also if you've been doing test prep, if you did test prep over sophomore year summer, if you want to test in the fall and you feel ready, that's okay as well. But sometime during junior year, and if you've just completed Algebra 2, we usually say then in the spring of your junior year.
And we also usually offer the PSATs to kind of help your student and help them kind of prepare for the SAT. I know this year's a little different. I don't know if we're still going to host that, but normally we do hold the PSATs in October.
Yes, we are hosting the PSATs. Right now they are scheduled for January 26th, and all of our 10th and 11th graders will be participating. And we have one more question. Letters of recommendation. In the case of an athlete, the coach from the team or the letter must be done from the school coach only. No, the coach would write it in addition to the teachers in the building. So it wouldn't just be the coach writing the letter of recommendation. That would be in addition to the teaching staff. you have any other questions? Well, thank you guys so much for joining and for participating. We know that sometimes our 10th graders kind of get lost in translation because they're in the middle of their high school career. They don't have, you know, there really isn't the same sense of priority with them that we have with our seniors. So we don't ever want you to feel like we're not there for your students. If there's anything that you need, you just reach out to us, and we will help you guys with everything. We do have one question. Someone's raising their hand, Miss Rena Roy. Rena, I am going to promote you to a panelist, and you may unmute yourself and share your screen and ask your question. Rena, you just have to unmute yourself to ask your question.
Of course I do, and I was talking to myself. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I had one question with regards to the SATs and ACTs. Given that most universities have waived off this requirement for fall 2021, and I also learned fall 2022, many universities have waived off this requirement. What is your sense on this being a requirement for this batch 2023?
Well, my honest gut is that they're going to take the SAT and ACT. I think by then, fingers crossed, the pandemic will be over and the kids will have access to the test by then.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, listen, if you were to ask me in March of last year when we thought we were all going home for 2 weeks and we just needed to stay in our houses for that short period of time, you were to ask me then, I would have said, absolutely, are our kids going to be able to take like the summer SAT and the senior class would be able to do it. So
Okay.
I don't know. As of right now, my gut is saying, yes, I think that the current sophomore class will be able to take it, but
I
my
do
gut
have
can clearly be
one more
wrong.
question just following up to that is, again, it's, I'm not from the United States, you know, we migrated here a couple of years ago. And so I'm, you know, not very familiar with the system, not coming, having come through it. I'm, you know, Alina and I have been scouting and looking around, trying to attend open days so we could educate ourselves as much as possible about the process and, you know, what we think she may like to go down. And we're seeing some sort of trend with like the art related programs not requiring the SATs and ACTs and the sciences requiring more of it. Is this generic? Is it consistent? I don't know how she's going to test on it. Is it something that she should be worried about is my question.
Someone want to take that?
It's a big question. Sorry, very loaded.
Sure. I don't mind, unless anyone else wants to, I don't mind answering it. Prior to the pandemic, sometimes schools that were already test optional. So pre-pandemic, we always had test optional, test flexible schools. Even those schools that were test optional sometimes would require their pre-med, their health professions, and certain science majors to still submit test scores. Sometimes those test scores were required for merit-based money, and sometimes they were required just for entrance into that specific program. So usually if healthcare or medicine is something, or engineering is another one that might require test scores, even if the school was test optional. What's happened now after the pandemic is those same majors that used to require the test scores, the whole school and all of the majors have gone test optional. So that is one thing to look into. You know, following up on your initial question, some schools have gone test optional just for this year. Others have extended it for 3 years, and others have already said that they're going to continue with test optional because they were thinking about it prior to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So my gut is telling me that schools that are quintessentially quantitative schools, the bigger schools like Rutgers and Penn State and all of the UC schools, I think they will go back to requiring the tests because they typically don't have a really holistic review. But I think all of the rest of the colleges are playing it like us and the parents are. They're seeing how their new incoming class is going to kind of pan out. If they wind up getting fantastic students, from the test optional policy, they might continue with that. So I don't think the answer is really black and white. I think it's more, it depends on the types of students they get in. Maybe going this route, test optional for all the Ivy schools, maybe they wind up getting better applicants in, not submitting test scores because it takes some pressure off. we don't know. So I think things will change. And for all of you parents out there that are parents of sophomores, things are going to continue to evolve. So I think it's great that you're online and you're checking schools out now. Take those virtual tours, take, contact an admissions rep for the things that the colleges that you are interested in, because the admissions reps are more available now than they ever have been in the past. So they are so accessible. Normally their job revolves around a lot of travel, and now they're not traveling. So they're more accessible to the applicants.
It's
And
interesting to say that.
if I can just add one quick thing, and I'm also noticing doing my senior appointments now with this class that's so, unsure. We're really focusing on pulling recommendations, say from an outside source, or, if they had an internship or they had a job, like we're trying to get so creative as to what we can use to enhance your application, because granted, test scores, they may not require, but then they're going to look a little bit more heavily at the GPA. So I'm trying to get them to think out of the box, and they're thinking, oh, summer freshman year, I forgot that I did this for my local church. Well, let's try to pull that in and see what we can do for you. So we're getting a little bit more creative with other sources for the applications as well.
That's great context.
I wanted to piggyback on this as well, because if you're thinking of art, that portfolio is going to be crucial. So they may require you to have the SATs, but that portfolio will be front and center for a student.
We've created.
And the other thing, if I can just add real quick, because I noticed what the colleges are doing, they're being creative as well. So some schools are actually holding like virtual interviews even before they get the actual applications, which I was very surprised about. So one of my students was looking into, let's just say Boston University, and they wanted to just kind of do a quick meet and greet just to, kind of see who their application they'll be reading. So to Mrs. Lawler's point, it's almost like they're more accessible now. They want to make that contact with you because they're not traveling all over the place. So it's a different time all around, but I think everybody's being just a little bit more creative as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And while we're on the topic, we have someone who's asking about subject tests. Are schools still looking for those applicants?
I would say that they are, depending on the major. If you're going in for pre-med, pre-law, engineering, they will be looking for those subject test scores.
Thank you.
It adds to your application, but a lot of schools are not requiring it. So, it's not required to review, and they're not saying you must have this. Certain high-level hyper-competitive schools might require it for a specific major, but just all of our state schools, all of the private schools in New Jersey, none of them are requiring subject tests. So before you spend your time and your money and stress out studying for a subject test, take a peek at the college website and if they require it, or if you think it would add to your application.
Thank you. We do have a question coming in. Could you share the situation regarding staff coming back to school? Will there be classes in which teachers are teaching from home when students are back in the classroom? So we do have some of those scenarios. We do have some teachers that will be, for medical reasons or for whatever reason, they will be teaching from home. We do not have many of them. I would say it's a very small percentage at the high school, but there is a chance that your child may be sitting in a classroom where the teacher is teaching from home. Just as Ms. Glynn said, we do also, because we've cohorted A, B, and C, we wanted to make sure that if all of our student population decided to come back to school in a hybrid form, we would still be able to social distance in the classroom. And now that we have our numbers in, those cohorts in class are small. So there may be a scenario where there's 2 kids in the classroom and there's 28 kids home virtually. And unfortunately, there's not really a way to balance that. So it may be that your child is still in class following the teacher virtually as the teacher teaches to the computer, because there are more kids on the computer than there are in the actual classroom. We are doing our absolute best to manage this the best way we can. We are still getting emails left and right of kids that are deciding to go all virtual, or kids that were all virtual that are deciding to go hybrid. And we're just starting school on Monday. So, we have to, we just have to roll with the punches and go with what the current scenario is. Could you share the situation? Oh, I just answered that one. So I hope I answered that question. I wish I could give you more specifics. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to just say which teachers are coming back and which teachers are not coming back. That's a staffing issue. The question is, how will the class be monitored if the teacher is not in the classroom? We have other teachers that are going to be in the classroom, whether it be a substitute or another physical teacher in the building that's going to be covering that room. So the kids will not be alone. There will be an adult in the class supervising. There is a question, would testing be required for an aeronautic college? Again, I think that's really based on, the individual college, and you would need to look it up that way. My gut is going to say it might, because it's more science-based. The SAT essay part is optional. What is your suggestion on taking the essay test? So Ms. Acosta did cover this. We do recommend that all of the students take the essay part at least once, whether they take the ACT or the SAT, because colleges will use that sometimes for placement in their freshman year in college. Okay, I think that may be our last question. Does anyone have anything else? You're welcome to raise your hand, ask one last question. We thank you guys for being here. This was a great meeting. Hopefully next year, our junior meet and greet we'll be able to do in person. But again, if there's anything that you need from us, we are here for you. And I'm hoping that all of you that are present now will take part in those parent seminars that I emailed out yesterday on kind of managing stress levels in your household. And again, for those parent sessions, it's not just going to be for techniques for you personally, but it'll be for you personally as well as anyone that's in your house. So I think that it's a really great tool and event that we're putting on. So thank you guys for coming, and we look forward to our next communication with you. Thank you.